All right, hello everyone, and welcome to this one-shot D&D game, Death Peals the Night, a game that is run in the system, the setting of Gloam, which can be found on the Absolute Tabletop Facebook page. It is a setting by an incredibly awesome person who I am very fortunate to know, a person by the name of Matt Click. His channel is A Fistful of Dice, and I highly suggest check it out because it's pretty cool. With me today are four incredible players who are going to be going through this twisting labyrinth of madness, pain, and death. And let's see what turns out on the other side. However, lighting in here is just, this is awful. This is not setting a mood at all. Hang on a second. Ah, yeah, there we go. Your stagecoach, tumbling, twisting, moving through cobblestone roads on its way to who knows where. The ever-present sound, tick, 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 of skeletal fingers gently probing the sides of your walls of the stagecoach. The four of you inside, gently swaying, gently rocking, almost peaceful. It has been a year since the Gloam has attacked, invaded your world. And only now do you see the despair, the destruction that has caused it. Now in this ethereal twilight that you are riding through, the fog thick and heavy, the only sound, the only outside signs of life are now dead trees gently touching, just slightly bracing the edges of this stagecoach as you continue to travel. Inside, the four of you, we see an individual to begin with. And the first person we see is a person named Pur. What is that person doing right now?
As Pur sits in the stagecoach, bouncing from the road, a book lays upon his lap, upon his clean white robes, the robes of his station. The others could not see his face behind the red mask that he also wears, the sign of his order. From time to time, he traces his hand across the cover of the book, as if reading it, but he does not look down upon it. And the individual sitting on either side of him would hear him muttering, as if in a prayer, as he looks out upon the barren wasteland through the fog.
And so your eyes begin to gaze, half asleep, half awake. They look to another player in this twisted game, an individual by the name of Jared. What is Jared doing?
Jared sits across from Pur with a pipe he's currently smoking, wearing a brown duster. He looks occasionally out the stagecoach, looks back down. He's been quiet most of the way thus far. He fidgets with his clothes. He looks over and sees a man named Jax. What is Jax doing?
Jax is sitting, staring directly down at this helmet. The armor that he's wearing is battered, worn, secondhand. It's very clear that he was in some form of position in some military, but was too lowborn to be given appropriate armor. Each piece seems to be hand-me-downs from different piece of armor, not necessarily a complete set made specifically for him. But the way that he's polishing his helmet, you know that it's his. And you know that him and this armor have been through a lot. It's unclear where they've been through. It's unclear just how many battles he's fought and how many dents that armor has taken with him inside of it. But as he sits with the rest of you, trying his best to keep focus on shining his armor over and over and over again, despite how clean it can get, he just keeps looking down, keeps shining it. And in the reflection, he can see another of the players. Sorry, I don't know everybody's name yet.
Calder, looking down, you can see your reflection staring back out at you. What does your reflection look like?
I see a man covered in daubs. I see my reflection as I fidget my gun, almost in rhythm with the carriage. Again and again and again, the sounds of unloading and reloading my gun. All I can remember is that this group cannot die. This might be my chance to redemption.
And the stagecoach travels ever onward, over hills, down valleys, across small wooden bridges, and slowly and slowly and slowly, and the wheels turn, and hearing ever so often the small punctuation of a crack of a whip, for the stage driver is urging his horses forward ever faster, moving ever quicker, as if some unseen force, something, some horror behind the coach will catch if he is not quick enough. As you begin to move faster and faster, the rhythm gaining farther and farther, you begin to be peace, a peace reflected almost in sleep. Everything seems to be calm, relaxed. Whoa! All of a sudden, the massive panic as horses stop. You begin to halt. Each of like the two of you sitting in the back are lurched forward, almost falling into the people in front of you's laps as you hear this whoaing of the horses. All of a sudden, the stagecoach just lurches and tumbles and stops. Suddenly, the sound of heavy boots hitting the cobblestone ground comes forward, and you see the head of an individual, Robert, who is the gentleman driving the coach. He comes up to you. Excuse me, my lords, but we're kind of at the border of Ravenrock. So you'll have to excuse me. I've got to adjust the carriage, as it were. And you see him, and he's grabbing a handful of bells, and they just jangle and tinkle within his like huge meaty fist. And you see him beginning to tie up the bells all around the stagecoach. He even opens up the door and hangs one inside. You'll have to excuse me, my lords. I know the sound's going to be a bit much, but it's a local custom, and they demand it if we are going to enter into their village. So you'll have to bear with it a bit, if you don't mind. And he kind of looks to the four of you, expecting something, anything.
I'll say, we serve the people.
Aye, well, this far out from the safety of the cities, it's a bit more difficult to distinguish the people from... And he just lets that kind of hang for a bit, and then kind of lowers his head, turns around, closes the stage door, gets back up, and begins to harry the horses forward at a bit slower of a pace.
And after he leaves, I say to the group, well, we know he's one of us.
Jax just nods his head as he picks himself off the floor and puts his helmet on.
And as the stage begins its shorter journey to the village, you hear the clanging and the ringing of bells as you plod forward. As you get into the town of Ravenrock, you see kind of a cluster of homes. A lot of homes seem to be boarded up. Some have red X's painted on the wooden doors. Windows are shuttered, or some windows are even hammered shut with 2x4s and planks. Everything's closed, and you see, one thing you do notice is that there's very few lights here. But as the stage comes to a close, and the horses whinny their protest as they stop, once again you actually hear Robert's voice from the driver's seat. "All right, my lords, we're here, Ravenrock. Don't know about you, but this long journey has built me quite a thirst. I'll be going right to the tavern, if you wish."
Now you're talking. Jared puts away his pipe. He, as we walk forward, if we do, I think he probably walks alongside Jax and says, kind of looks towards these homes with the boarded up windows and things, and says, "You sure it's shiny enough for the locals?"
Jax looks at you, honestly a bit confused. As he looks around, he's not necessarily listening to what most people are saying. He's kind of just following the flow as he's looking at all these boarded up buildings and the X's, and it just takes him back to wondering what his village looked like if it was boarded up like this. There are people still there, but he pushes those thoughts away and hopes that just yeah, just saying yes answers your question.
As the five of you walk up to the door, the cobblestone streets that you see are in relative decent repair. It seems that this town or village even hasn't had a proper mason or other stone cutter here in quite some time. Small shoots of grass overgrow in between the different stones as you walk towards this place called the Murder's Rest. The door, as you approach it, you can hear people speaking, some of them in very excited and also very worried voices. As you look up, you can even hear the faint ringing of a small bell in the upper corner right beside the door. Stepping through, you see that there appears to be an entire village meeting held here is that at least a good 80 or 90 people have crammed themselves into this tavern and are now speaking kind of in a corner. They seem to be very, very excitable. So many of them are talking with their hands. A few, you do hear a few voices, speak out. Well, I don't know what we're going to do, and there's no way that I'm going there. We should have kept more. We should have kept more. We should have planned it further. We should have done something. And as the door opens, you hear like there's another ringing of another bell on the inside, and people just kind of begin to shh, and everyone kind of turns their head and looks at the five of you. And Robert kind of pushes his way in, and kind of tips his hat at the townsfolk and goes up to the bar and speaks to what seems to be the barman or the owner of this establishment.
I think Jax would follow close behind, just kind of swiveling his head, trying to keep everything in perspective. None of the townspeople are like, do they like kind of make way for them as they move in?
So as you move in, yeah, some of the people in town kind of move their head and kind of look at you a bit, and then a few of them go back to talking in hushed tones and speaking to each other. Just a lot more quieter, now that they realize that that people from away are here. They just begin speaking just a little bit quieter. As you follow Robert up, you see kind of a fairly large barrel-chested individual at the bar. He has a kind of a slightly clean rag in one hand, and he kind of leans over on it as he was interrupted from cleaning the bar top. Robert kind of leans in and speaks to him a little bit quietly, and this bartender, he kind of nods his head, grabs 4 glasses and just pours 4 ales. Hands them like kind of pushes them over to you without even speaking to you, and he grabs what looks to be like a pewter mug and fills it with wine, hands it to Robert. The barman looks right at you, Jas, and so you're not from here, are you?
No, sir. Not from here.
What's your business in Ravenrock then?
And he kind of looks at the party and looks back at the man and says, "Not sure yet."
Well, maybe you can help us then. Be
Sure.
nice of you. You say that now. I assume you're probably familiar now with the local custom. And as he says that, he grabs his ear and he kind of tugs at it a bit. And he says, well, you see, we have a boneyard. Now, it used to be a boneyard that 3 other towns round here all shared. It was the Grand Cemetery. We call it the Grand Boneyard. There was a bell, or at least there is a bell, in the center of it. And, well, let's just say you would be hearing it now if it was actually usable. But for some reason, it's not sounding. Now, they say that very one was blessed by the great Dawnfather, Baelor himself, and was given to this town as a gift, or at least given to that boneyard. It was to keep the dead from rising. But for some reason, started about an hour before you came, stopped ringing. And all of us folk here, well, don't think there's a spine to share between all 80 of us. We could sure use the help if you don't mind. Sure, there's coin somewhere in it for you. And he looks over and he kind of like waves a hand, catching the attention of what you see to be an individual in robes. It seems to be a priest or something to that effect. He comes over and you see the kind of sun diagram, although it seems to be an old uniform, because this brooch, this sun brooch, is actually cracked, right, like basically on a diagonal, almost splitting the brooch in half. It seems to be hastily repaired, but he comes up to you and, hello, I am Brother Joanne, from the God of Pelor, one of his great followers. Are you here to help us?
No, but it is a possibility.
Well, I did hear something about some coins.
Oh, yes. Well, we're not a we're not a very rich village, but I think that if we gathered our money together, we could probably offer you 200 gold, if that's all right with you. If you could just go in and have a look. We're a very, and you see him, and he grabs his ear as well. He kind of gives it a couple tugs. We have our own way here in Ravenrock, and well, it would just be nice if we could have a little bit of help. But 200 gold, would that be all right?
Gold don't seem to be worth much these days. So if it helps, I'll pass on my share. And he looks to the rest of them, Per, Gil, and Jared, expectingly, see if that pleases any of you guys.
I'm done with gold. You can save my share.
And he looks to Per and Gil. Sorry,
So
Per and Jared. My bad.
You can't see Per's face because of his mask, but he begins to get closer and closer to this individual, very close. So you can tell him he's staring into Per, staring intently at him. And from behind the mask, you hear, "What kind of ways do you have here?"
Well, we believe that the bells are very important, and of course we try to follow Pelor's tenets very carefully. And well, other than that, we're just a little bit superstitious. And and he goes up and he just continues to grab his ear. We're just simple folk, and we're just trying to eke out a living here. This business, this Gloam, as it's said, well, it doesn't seem like doesn't seem to be affecting here, and we're trying to keep it that way, as long as we follow the Dawn Father's goodwill. Just try and be friendly folk to each other and help as much as we can.
You said that the bell stopped ringing, and that it was supposed to keep out the dead. Have the dead woken?
Well, we've not seen nothing like that, but as far as we know from way back when, that's the way it's always been, but we've never seen nothing like it. The bell was nice. It was a large silver bell with a nice gold clapper, and it has the imprinting of Palor's symbol on it.
Is there anyone that can lead us to this bell?
Well, we can lead you to the cemetery, but most folk are too scared to walk in. I'll take you myself, and I'll show you right where the center of the place is, center of the boneyard. It's not too far.
Don't sell yourself so short. Cowardly is the natural state of man. Keeps us alive.
Well,
But
I'm not like them heroes of old, them ones who were fighting against all sorts of monsters and other creatures. I'm just a priest.
well, most of them are dead, so more power to you. But if all my friends here are interested, I'd be intrigued to take this job.
And he looks at the rest of you, and he stops for a moment. He says, "I'm sorry. I hope that you'll all say yes. I don't want to force you on nothing, but if you could help us, that would be wonderful." Oh, wait. And he looks over at Hugh, and the big barman. Why don't you get out the chest? Yes, please. And he comes up and he kind of lifts up this chest, and it's got like an iron chest, or an iron and wood chest, and he opens it up, and you see there like old coins. Some, quite a few of them are burnished. Here it is, 200, if it please you, and I'll take you to the cemetery myself.
Jared pushes away from the bar suddenly. He says, "Well, I've decided." Looks over at the chest. "I think it'll do." But he looks back towards the door. "I think I need me one of those bells."
Oh yes, we can give you bells. And he kind of looks over at a few of the people kind of gathered together, and get them some bells. And a few people kind of like in shock, they begin to untie. They even have some small bells on them personally, and they begin to untie them and hand them over. And you quite a few people, people are just trying to talk over each other to speak. "You're going to help? It's good that you're going to help us then. And you're saviors of this village. I swears it." And a couple other people are like, "Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much." And tears. Some of these people, tears are running down their eyes. They're so happy that you're willing to help them. And they give you all the bells, and you just see a bunch of some in brass, some in silver, just these little tiny little bells, some stable bells for horses, like jingle bells, a few of those on there. They just hand you however many bells you need, and they just, all in all, you've got like probably a dozen or more of these bells of different shapes and sizes.
Per's gonna reach down into the coins, count out 7 pieces, and collect them, putting them into his pocket, and then he'll turn and rise up to his full height. He's pretty imposing when he rises up, mask on, hood up, and he says, "People of Ravenrock, fear not. The holy order of man has come. Those who oppose our justice will fall." And I just turn to my companions as I put my hand upon the warhammer at my waist.
So Jax takes one of the bells, and he takes a single coin out of the chest, and to the priest who's provided the chest, he says, "I'll take this as a sign that I'll accept the mission. And under the kingdom's honor, as a soldier, I promise I'll do everything I can to fulfill the oath that I am swearing right now. And he looks at his friends, or to-be friends, hopefully. And as you will become my party, I swear to you all, I'll try to make sure we all get home safe as best we can.
Calders looks around at the people. He analyzes each of their faces, looks at the box full of gold. His hand kind of shakes as he reaches for the gold. He kind of reaches for the gold and then grabs one of the bells and says, I will do my best to make this village be as wonderful as it was once. And he raises the bell and kind of ties it into his glove.
Jared would move over to the chest and close it and sort of push it back. He says, you keep that safe for me now. We ain't earned it yet. And he would take a silver bell and sort of hold it up and ring it. He says, see there now? Paylor's going to see his bag safe.
And as you ring the bell, a bunch of people smile and they all begin to tug their ear. The priest, Brother Johann, begins to walk and leads you towards this area, this cemetery known as the Great Boneyard. And as you enter this area, you see now why the name of it is what it is. It is so large. It is probably the size of the village itself. You can see massive quadrants of different types of gravestones, some as simple as pieces of wood with burnt writing inside that have given themselves over to time. And you even see huge elaborate mausoleums and massive gravestones that have like beautiful reliefs of reapers or angels or other such figures atop it. He leads you to the one gate, and you see him. He pulls out a key and just puts it in the lock, and kind of pulls this thick steel chain off of the graveyard, or off of the doors. He opens it up, and you just hear this protest by these old rusted gates that slowly just open up. And as you look into the actual boneyard itself, you see this kind of makeshift wooden watchtower that seems to have withstood the test of time, like its own obelisk within a sea of death. And you see hanging a large bell, open air to everything else, and the lattice work of this bell tower going straight up, keeping it sturdy. The bell itself, even from here, you can only imagine that the very size of this bell, it is at least 800-900 pounds of silver hanging. And if a bell is that big, the clapper made of gold would be just as big. Brother Johann looks at the four of you. Here you go. And he keeps on holding on. He just holds on to his ear at this point, because even in the dead silence, you can hear the gentle tingling of bells off of every gravestone as the wind just gently caresses the cemetery. The whole thing at the very bottom is this kind of thick layer of mist just at the very, very bottom, maybe even just 2 inches off. And he says unto you, there it is. If you could find out what's wrong with that bell, we'd be mighty grateful. It's always rung. I just hope thieves haven't come in and made off with the clapper. It takes a lot to do something for strangers. So you can't imagine how grateful we are that you're doing this. Thank you. He kind of chokes up a little at the end.
Jax puts his hand on the man's shoulder and says, "Don't worry about it. We'll figure out what's going on with that bell, and hopefully we'll make it back, and you can pay us back with some really good beer. Some ale or cider would be great."
He smiles at you. Wherever you like. And I know it's kind of you and good of you to not want the gold, but please take it. You're doing us a massive favor, and you're helping us, and more importantly, you're giving us a peaceful night's sleep. So for that, we thank you.
I don't know if I'll take the gold, but there might be some information that you can give me after this. I'm looking for some people. Any information would help.
Of course. Yes, of course. Anything you'd like. I'll do my very best to help you. I promise.
But before we go, I do have a question. Do the bells, do they work?
He kind of looks around to make sure that no one else is followed. To be honest, I don't know. I ain't never seen no dead rise. I've never seen no monsters walking about late at night in the cemetery. I think it's more to put the people's mind at rest, if anything. And if a thief has made off with the clapper, well, the clapper's worth a lot of money. And I don't even personally know, to be perfectly honest, if Paylor even gifted this bell. Who can say? But at times like this, when the air grows dark and the world seems plunged into madness, maybe a small light of faith is what people need, and a bit of comfort, even if it comes at the end of a bell.
Well, as a soldier and as a peasant, I can tell you for certain, superstitions help keep us alive sometimes. And if you ain't never seen no dead, and ain't never seen no beast, it must mean the bells are working. All right. Well, if everybody's gotten what they need, then I think we best get moving.
Yes, I can assure you, child of Pelor, the old ways, the old stories are true. Take yourself back to the village. Be this light to your brethren. We will stand as the light here. And I pull out my pistol and my warhammer.
He nods his head, smiles, and leaves the chain hanging off of one door, and the lock kind of dummy locked. And he says, "Thank you again." And he walks, and you see him retreat back towards the village.
As soon as he's out of earshot, I say, I do not trust him.
These days and age, best not trust anybody. But
Let us hurry.
couldn't agree more. And Jax takes out his shield and holds it in both hands as he soldier marches forward.
Jared walks with hands on two short weapons and scabbards at his hips, and again walks next to Jax, and he says, "What you just said there, that's the first smart thing I've heard all night."
Let's just hope it ain't the last.
Amen to that.
As you begin to walk towards the center, you can see around. It is very peaceful. It is very quiet. This place is not. There are no skeletons. There are no undead horrors waiting around every tombstone to leap out and attack you. Everything seems very quiet. However, as you begin walking, I'm going to need Pur. Make me a dexterity saving throw.
$12.
As you begin to walk, you are seemingly going along just fine. Suddenly, Pur, you seem to have knocked or hit a root or something, and you trip. And as you trip, you hit the ground, and two of the bells that you were on your body begin to like fly off and begin to roll into the grass and into this thick layer of mist that is hugging tightly to the ground.
So as I fall to one knee, clambering to the ground to retain my balance. Oh, wait! And I reach out. I reach out towards where the bells were, but then I stop myself short, thinking better of going too far from my friends, and I rise quickly, trying to catch up, checking my body for any remaining bells that may be there.
As you pat yourself down, you can tell that you still have about 3 or 4 bells on you. As you begin to walk further onward, I'm going to need you, Jared, to make me a perception check.
$16.
Okay. So you continue onward. The night is peaceful. It is quiet. And it seems like a place that if you were to spend your final days, if you were to be buried somewhere, it doesn't seem like such a bad place to be buried. The grass, at least for what you can feel, because you can't really see it, seems to be quite well manicured. The cobblestone pathways and other such areas that lead from area to area, from grave to grave, seems to be actually well manicured and very well taken care of. Finally, you reach the bell tower. And as you do, you notice 2 things. First, you notice the clapper on the ground, right by the bell tower. The second thing you notice is the body that is clutching the clapper and is face down near the base.
I kind of, as soon as I see the body, I kind of swing my arms wide and just say, hold, hold. Don't anybody go over there and touch it. And I kind of look around at everybody. Does anybody see anything? We should probably check the perimeter before we get any closer.
Calder is gonna look around the perimeter, maybe search for some kind of trap or tracks of anyone that has passed through here.
Okay, so if you're going to search for any kind of tracks, I'd like you to make me a survival check, please.
Okay. That's a. Ooh, I rolled low. That's 6.
Okay, so you do see one set of tracks, but the set of tracks, as you're looking, it actually belongs to the individual who is now face down and dead in front of you.
I don't see any tracks of other people, but we should be careful around here. It seems too easy.
Jax nods and he looks at Per and he says, "Are you a cleric of some sort? Medical training?"
Yes, the Holy Order has gifted me. Do you wish me to check the corpse for life?
Yes. Well, no. He's clearly dead. But I think it's important that we know why he's dead. Are you skilled in this?
I understand. I will do what I can. And
And
I will touch the body.
And Jax looks at Jared. Jared and Calder. Us three should hold the perimeter while he's checking the body. Make sure nothing sneaks up on us. And he takes forward, like he kind of turns his body facing the way that they came, and just with both hands slams his shield into the ground. If you lads would get behind me and keep a watch on my behind, I'd be mighty thankful.
Okay. So, Poor, you are rolling the body over? Or are you just checking the body?
Yeah, first I want to just give it a good glance over, and the main thing in the forefront of my mind is I want to make sure it's human first.
As you look, I mean, this individual is lying down like on its stomach, so you can't really tell. You can't really tell human or not. From your knowledge of like elves and dwarves, you know that it is too tall to be a dwarf, and with no pointed ears, it certainly cannot be any creature from the Fae. It appears to be a human. Appears to be dressed in a kind of dark traveler's trench coat. Has a tricorn hat and leather boots.
Okay, so upon seeing that it is not anything profane in my mind, I will, taking proper caution, I will begin to interact with the body. I'll roll it over and try to find out how it came to be dead.
As you roll the body over, two very familiar eyes look back up at you, at the deeply slashed throat of one stagecoach driver named Robert. As his eyes, now a milky white of death, as you roll him over, his neck even peels back further, his esophagus, even down to his vertebrae, are almost exposed to the deep, deep slash in his throat. No, go ahead.
So beneath my mask is a grimace of disappointment and anger. And I say to myself, is this how you serve these people? And I call to the rest of the companions. It is Robert, our driver. He has betrayed the village. He has paid the price by knife and blood. Take heed.
How did he die, cleric?
His throat is cut by blade.
And I look at Calder and Jared, and I say, does anybody see any other tracks? Any blood splatter, anything?
Can I make an investigation around the area?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Oh, I rolled low as well, but I have it. Oh no, 8.
Other than the what seems to be the solitary tracks of Robert, you see nothing else. However, it is that time when suddenly you sense something, you feel something doesn't seem right, and a twitch from Robert's body, and another twitch, and seems more violent, jerking and snapping, his spine almost curling to a point where it seems to be breaking. He suddenly rises, stands. His head, though, snapped back a bit at first, and his whole weight shifts forward. His neck kind of sickeningly and wetly just kind of plops back onto his rightly onto his shoulders, still gripping the clapper as some type of massive maul. This creature looks at you, poor, and then looks at you, Jared, and Jas, and Calder. Begins to and holding aloft this thing, begins to stumble forward towards you. I would like everyone to roll initiative. Son of a... So here's one thing, just while we all roll initiative. Hey, you want to run a YouTube channel? You want to run a cool horror game? You kind of want things to be kind of moody? Make sure you don't have too much damn dice in the dark, because now all of a sudden, all I know is that my computer room now has caltropes all over it. Scared to walk. So just going to throw that one out there. All right. Wow, that is some awesome rolls. Except for you, poor.
Except for me.
That is unfortunate. All right,
especially because he's right by my ass.
I mean, that's a thing. That's a thing.
I'm seriously regretting not having recovered that clapper.
I know. Yeah, that is definitely a thing.
Just gonna throw that out there.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Whether or not it is from your training or from your just natural heightened paranoia, very quickly, Jax, you are the first one to react.
Okay. So Jax was actually facing the other direction, the direction that he had placed his shield in, facing the direction that they had come from, when he started to hear the jerking and the bones snapping and the gurgles of the dead. And when he turns around and sees that Robert has fully sat up just moments ago, dead and pale on the ground, he swings his body around his shield so that he's on the rounded side, and puts his rifle on the square, like just the rectangle cutout, just perfect for mounting your gun on it. Aims it as best he can with shaking hands, as he has never come face to face with the dead, and hopes that when he pulls the trigger, that his aim is true. All right. I hope his aim is true. All right. So let's see. That is. All right. Well, I got a 19 on the dice. So does that hit?
Yeah, you hit.
All right. Cool. It's okay, I guess. That is. Okay. So I got a 4, 5, 6. So I got 7 damage on him. So yeah.
And you watch as your round strikes true. Definitely true. What would fall a mortal man or an elf or a dwarf? But this is the dead. As your bullet seems to go completely through, exploding out the side, you see that this creature doesn't quite seem affected as a living, breathing one. It looks at you and kind of gurgles a hiss as like coagulated, rotted blood just begins to like seep down from its neck. Which brings us to Calder.
As Calder hears the gunshot, he immediately turns over to see this horrific vision of his driver. He reaches behind him for a hand axe and he throws it at the creature. I rolled a 7. Wow. I'm not getting good rolls today.
As you go in, you throw it. The creature even stumbles itself a bit on its own shaky legs as it kind of jostles to one side, and what would have been a dead-on shot just whizzes harmlessly past, floating, zipping off into the dark ether. Jared.
Jared, just seeing these things unfold. I think for the first time is put off. He's been sarcastic, and if anybody were watching him, that's not what you would see on his face right now. And he draws out both short swords at his hips. And Mike, how do you want to handle that? Because it doesn't actually have the feat where I think you can technically do that and use an action.
Sorry, say that again. Like, what do you mean?
So wielding 2 weapons instead of 1, I think technically isn't.
Yeah, so whatever one is in your dominant hand. So you have your dominant hand weapon, whichever that may be, whether it be your pistol or whether it be another weapon. And then you'd have your offhand weapon. So if you have 2 weapon fighting, you'll add your proficiency to both weapons. But you'll have to get in close to this creature to basically, like if you have a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, you can shoot from a distance, but you use your bonus action to strike with your melee weapon. You can do that once per turn.
Right. And about how far away would I be able to approach it this round, or is it too far away?
No, it's not too far away at all.
Okay.
Because as you guys all went in there, you're like maybe 10 feet away. So
Okay.
unless you're a halfling with a limp, I think you'll be able to make it, no problem.
All right, that's what I thought. Okay, so yeah, he would wield both short swords, so 2 short swords, and move in. And the first was a 24
Hits.
for 6.
And the next one?
The next one's a crit.
Nice. Very, very nice.
And how do you want to do crits? I don't.
Roll. So I guess this is short swords. That's roll 2d6 and then add your proficiency.
Okay. So that one's 12.
Nice. Very nice. And as you actually, you know what? Tell me how that looks. Tell me how this one hit, this perfect hit. Tell me what happens.
Okay. So he probably unbeknownst to anybody but him right now, he has a nickname back home. Call him 1-2. Some people do. Some who don't even know him. And so I think he would default to some of that fighting style. So the first short sword comes in high and doesn't really pin the creature, but just does in a sense where the second one can get in even easier. And so just right in the center mass, the other one, and probably goes in twice as far. And there's just sort of still in there until it might come up again.
As the creature kind of reels back, you see now that its body is being significantly destroyed and is having a hard time to even move. It is still advancing though, and it now looks to you, Poor, and kind of holds aloft its maul and just strikes straight down with this massive golden clapper. And you feel the full weight of this thing strike you hard. And you take 10 damage as you just feel this thing just kind of like come in and just slam you into both the shoulder and even in the clavicle. You can feel your whole body reverberate with this hit. Robert, although a stage driver, must have been rather strong in life because he's quite strong in death. This brings us to Calder.
After missing the hand axe, Calder is gonna run towards Jared and try to keep himself in between Jared.
Sorry. I apologize. I apologize profusely. DM has made an error because it's how I roll. It's actually Poor's turn. I'm very, very sorry about that, Gil. Sorry about that. My bad.
No problem.
Hey, only human. Screw up. Okay, audience?
Yeah, no
What
worries,
do?
man. All right, so that hurt. You could tell, man. Bits of my right robe, you could see blood starting to seep up from underneath the armor underneath there, where my skin has been broken by this crushing blow, and you may even see a bit of it coming off from my scalp and behind my mask where my ear has been caught by the blow, and it's ripped my mask to the side a little bit. And so I reach up with the pistol at point blank range, and I'm going to try to fire around at him, and then I'm going to also try to hit with the club at the same time. Secondary. Okay, so first attack. 15.
That's also a thing that I do a lot. Talk while muted. 15 hits.
Okay, great. All right. So as the pistol, the round shoots off, filling the air with the smoke of the blast. The flame of the gout I just made a caltrop on my floor too. So five piercing and 2 fire damage. And then I'm going to attack. And I don't know if there's called shots. I would like to call this shot if possible, but if not, it's no big deal. I want to try to swing my warhammer at his hand that's holding the clapper and try to draw it out of his hand, knock it out of his hand. If I can't, no big deal. It'll just be an attack, but that is what I'm going to do. Tell me if I need to adjust my roll in any way.
All right. Well, the first one did how much damage?
Oh, 7 total. Is that? Did I say 4 or 5?
I believe you said. I believe it was 5.
Yeah, 7 total. Because it was
7 total.
2 on the D4.
Okay. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll just, if you want to make a called shot, go for it, roll, and I'll just adjust the to hit.
Fair. Okay, so well, I missed it. I rolled a 3. My bonus is non-existent because it's the offhand attack.
Roger that.
I swung wide, baby.
So as you take the shot, you immediately see an opening, and you just come around with the warhammer straight to the side of the head. But as you made your shot was more powerful than you realized, and the creature kind of stumbles back, and it leans forward again. And we are back to Jax.
If I have movement, can I?
Yep.
You take movement as well. So I will take. Oh, it disengages an action. I'll provoke an attack of opportunity if I walk away, won't I?
You will.
Pass. Yeah, I'll stand my ground. I'm a war cleric. I know better than that.
Damn, Skippy.
And I didn't.
I don't mess around. You want to fight me? You fight me. All right. So we are back up to Jax. Jax, can you put this thing to rest?
Probably not, since I am using a flintlock pistol or rifle. So as flintlock rifles, I believe, take an action to reload, right?
They do.
Yeah. So, in my mind, Jax is actually terrified. So he's taken the shot, and his instincts have just completely taken over. So he took the shot. The explosion of gunpowder has kind of ignited the darkness around him for a split second, and that image of Robert with blood and the paleness of death is haunting him as he has turned back around over the rounded end of the shield and is just focusing all his attention, his shaking hands barely managing to spill the gunpowder into their correct slot as he prepares to load or as he prepares to do another shot. He hears the clashing of blades and everything, but he is completely tuning it out, repeating his mantra, "You're just a farmer, you're just a farmer," and just trying his best to load his weapon, not even knowing if the monster will need killing by the time he's done.
All right, then. If that is your turn, we are going to move on to Calder. This time for sure, I swear.
Okay. After missing the previous hand axe, you can see Calder is pretty nervous. He's shaking. He looks at Jax. He's nervous as well. He reaches behind him. He closes his eyes for a second, takes a deep breath, and throws another hand axe at the creature. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I got it. I rolled 16.
That hits. Nice. You know what? This is what I'm going to tell you right now. Tell me how you finish it off, because I'm not kidding you. Robert has 1 hit point left. So there's absolutely no way that you can roll less than what needs to be to finish this guy off. So explain to me how this hand axe so very perfectly finds its mark and finally puts Robert into his grave? Question mark.
So you see the hand axe spinning through the air, It hits Robert right square on the forehead. He tumbles around and falls into an empty grave.
That is perfect. And you see his limp body, the clapper falling from his hand as it is extremely heavy. And as his body, finally, the rigor mortis kind of resets back in as his body kind of goes stiff and falls perfectly backward into a grave. The echoing, thunderous booms of flintlock fire begin to peel and roll over through the cemetery and into the valley, as almost everything is quiet, except you hear you hear the sound of a padlock engaging at a very familiar sounding set of rusty gates. And it's there that we're going to take our break. So, on that cliffhanger note, thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone. This is what happens when you try and like crush words together. For tuning in. We're going to be back in about 10 minutes. What I'm going to do, first off, is I'm going to blind myself. Ah, God, it burns. And I'll let these four fine people plug anything that they want. I'm having a blast. These guys are phenomenal. And let me tell you something. If you're unable to catch this until later on in the future, and you're part of the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group, get one of these four, get all four, get everyone into one of your games. These guys are great. So I will leave it to them while I hopefully don't jab a D4 through my foot. So we'll see you guys in about 10.
Sure. I guess I'll start some stuff off. So my name's John. I have a YouTube channel. I haven't necessarily used it in a long time, but you can feel free to browse through some of the videos I've posted up. The channel is called Out of Character. You can also find me on AppTab posting up weird stuff. What about you, Ben?
I do not have a channel at this point. I've thought about it, but don't. And I'll say that Out of Character's got some cool stuff on it, so you guys should check it out. Having a great game so far. Love all these guys. Love Mike. And I'll add that I totally thought the sound effects Mike was doing at the end were more zombie or skeleton type sounds of things getting out of graves and whatnot. So that was fun.
I love sound effects, man. The sound effects are so dope.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go grab a drink.
Cool. What about you, Archie? Anything you want to plug?
Oh man, I can plug for days. All right, so my channel is called Archie Duelist Channel. You can check it out. I'm doing the RPG a day for Brigade Con. That's pretty cool. Please check out everybody else who's doing that. It's pretty fun and exciting. I've learned about new games I didn't know anything about, so that's really cool. Check out SR2 Joker's channel, where I'm taking part in the Star Wars game. I'm playing Shozen, a young Jedi Knight Padawan. We're in the middle of assaulting and reclaiming a giant warship to battle the Sith. It's very epic and badass, and you should fucking check that out. Another badass Star Wars game I'm in is on Yarla Goat's YouTube channel. Check that out, where I'm the captain of a ship. It's super baller over there. I'm also a Jedi. I love Jedi. I love magic. That's how we do it. I could plug other stuff, but we'll just stop it there because, you know, I'm bombastic. I could go all day and night. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What about you, Gil?
Well, I don't have any channel or anything like that, but I would like to plug in the AbTab group because it's a very warm and welcoming place for new people, especially me. I don't have much opportunities here in my country to play D&D or any other tabletop RPGs with people. So I think it's the perfect place to meet new people and play a RPG with them.
Yeah, man. It's actually been It's been pretty fun playing with everybody so far.
Fuck yeah, I can second that,
Yeah.
man. I played in the one-shot group, but AbTab is real good. I mean, just you guys alone are examples of it. The RP level of the AbTab group is good, man. You guys are high quality. It's fun to play with y'all.
Thanks, man.
Sorry.
I don't
Thanks,
actually get to I don't get to play as a character very often, so yeah. I feel like most of the time whenever I play like tabletop RPGs, I'm the person that has to GM it because I'm like, man, I want to play a game, but nobody wants to read the book. So
What do you run, man?
Yeah.
So I did used to run a lot of 5e, but lately I've been playing a lot of the Cipher system. I just
Is that universal or is it like a sci-fi setting?
it's a universal setting. So Numenera is their sci-fi setting. It's like their official sci-fi setting. It's
Is that
also
what you're
like
running?
say that again?
You're running Numenera?
No. No. So I don't know. I don't know if this is weird or if this is typical. It's very hard to like get a footing on this within the community, but I don't typically play anything that's like somebody else's setting. Like I get into that mindset where I'm like, ooh, this is cool. This reminds me of like this cool idea. I'm just gonna go do my own thing. Like so
I
that's
like that. That's how I do it too, man. We should game. What about you, Gil? What do you like to play, man? What do you like to run? What's up, man?
Most of the times I'm running 5e because it's my like comfort zone. But I'm trying to learn Simbarum for now. Maybe I'll try to run it on AbTab because I don't see a lot of games in Simbarum.
what kind of game is that?
Uh, it's if you want me, I can link like in the Google Hangout, the PDF or something through Drive Through RPG. Let me
I see.
search for it actually.
Is
I would say
it a similar system to 5e?
Actually, like the mechanics are quite unique because a 20 is like the worst roll possible in
Hmm.
Simbarum. But it's the
crazy.
setting is kind of like a
Setting
more
is magic.
dark setting,
It's badass.
basically.
It's I would say
Yeah.
it's similar to Gloam, except it's a little bit more high magic and high fantasy. Not that zombies aren't pretty magic, but I mean, like
Yeah.
right, the Simbarum.
It's a different kind of magic.
Kick-ass old forest that you're like chilling in. It's like the thing. It's like this ancient forest with cool shit in it.
Yeah.
Simbarum's
Yeah.
cool, man.
I'm actually really happy to be playing in this game. I've been like craving to like play a game lately. So
I've
so
never played with
happy.
Michael, man. His GM skills are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
no,
actually
Mike.
found the link.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Gil.
I found the link to Simbarum, but as soon as I finish learning the system, just watch out for my posts, and then you guys can join in anytime.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I'll be excited to play it again. I've only played it once, but it was neat.
I like
It's like Polish or something.
I think it's Sweden. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I like the options. Like it's not like you have like classes. It's more like skills that your character has. So you can maybe do a character that does archery, but it's good on close range or something like that. You can do a lot of things, and I think what draws me to a system is like what you can do to make that character different from the others that you created. Different set of skills and.
Yeah, that's actually why I really like the Cypher system. Actually, like so far with the players that I've been playing with, they've been like without looking at the book, without looking at the classes or anything like that, they've been able to be like, I want to be, a pilot, or like, I want to be like a super soldier or something like that. And the system has something in there where I can make that a reality. Where I don't have to be like, well, you have to be like this class and then take this thing. It's like, no, okay, the system pretty much provides you with a way to custom create classes, pretty much, which is like super interesting.
Yeah, man, that's.
Um,
I feel like that's where everything should be heading, man. That's like the future of gaming. You can't pigeonhole players, man. We gotta want to let our creativity run free, you know.
I mean, I think everything has a place. Like, I think D&D as it is, like 5e to me is the direction that Wizards wants to go in, and I think the future of it, like if they ever do a 6th edition, will probably be more streamlined than 5e is. So any of the issues people have with 5e, 6e will be like, well, this is even more streamlined.
I
But
kind of
anyway,
like 5e, man.
the GM
Yeah.
is back.
Crack-a-lack.
That's all right. Hey, that's okay. You know what? Gaming is what we do. Gaming is what we love, and discussing it is a wonderful thing. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, as it turned out, it wasn't D4s that fell. It was actually D8. So it was even worse. So, I mean, there you go. It was twice the pain. But luckily I found them. So we're all good. So hopefully, glad that everyone's still sticking by, and I'm hopefully we're going to get to some real pain and suffering right about now. As you hear the chain rattling through the gates and the heavy lock engaging, what are you going to do?
Are we still in initiative?
No, you're out of initiative order.
I would like to recover the clapper.
Yeah. While he's doing that, I think, while standing up, hearing all this stuff, I'm going to look at all my companions, see that Purr's getting the clapper, see that the dead Rob has been conveniently killed back into an empty grave. And hearing the thing going behind me, I kind of want to address the group and kind of state the obvious. It is clear that this was a trap. Our goal from here on out is survival. And Mike, just so I'm clear, is in front of me the tower that the bell is in?
So where you're standing right now, you can see like just into the gloomy distance, you can kind of make out the like the rows of headstones probably to your left, kind of to your left and behind. The bell tower is standing right there. Now, Robert had fallen beside the bell tower into a very convenient open grave, and the clapper now in Poor's hands, and everyone else can be as they see fit.
Sorry, I just saw your.
That's a trap. There you go. I just said what we're all thinking.
Yeah. So I think we have two options. We can go back to the gate. We can try to pry it open. But if, and he hesitates, if Robert is any indication of what is to come, I think we should head for the bell tower. It is probably the most defensible location that we have, other than standing out in the open and trying to bang on a gate. But I'm open to suggestions.
It is at this moment you hear a voice from the gloom. Children of the Dawn, Father,
Um, Jax looks directly at Per, the cleric.
So I'm holding this clapper. Am I in range to strike the bell with it?
No, the bell is probably a good 20 feet above you. You'd have to try and climb the tower.
Okay, so I call out in my loudest, most authoritative voice. The dead shall not rise while the holy order survives. And I begin to climb the tower.
Is there not a door? Is there not an entryway into the tower? Or is it one of those that you have to actually climb up to get to?
You got to, you basically have to climb up.
Is there a ladder?
There is a ladder. There is a ladder onto a small landing. And then it seemed to have, there was a rope at one point, but it has since rotted away and is gone. So, I mean, the landing is here. The bell clapper is probably still, or the bell itself is still a good 5 feet above. So to hook the bell clapper on, I mean, you can try and do that itself. But as you begin to climb, you hear, "You poor friends, very sorry. The bell's not important." And then a voice begins to shout from seemingly where the gate is. "Oh, great Paylor, you who have closed the gates to Elysium, we few who keep your memory alive, understand that while you keep our dear departed loved ones here in the material realm, we will not, under any circumstances, fail in your teachings, in your tenets. We will provide the weak and the needy with succor and nourishment. We will provide those who need our help. As the great God of farming, of agriculture, of food, the hearth, and the home, let he who is needy and goes without food never stand on an empty belly." And then you hear in the distance, ding, ding, one bell. And suddenly the wind still blows through, but the bells on all the gravestones go silent. The mist that is permeating the ground turns a crimson and gets sucked into the ground. Now, throughout the mist, now that it is gone, now you can see at the very gates themselves, you begin to see people. An entire village worth of people standing like silent sentinels, not smiling, not happy, but they are standing and they are waiting with silent reverence as you begin to hear the disturbance of earth from all around you.
I think it's time to climb.
Well, I guess you were right.
Yeah. And Jax, as he is pulled his shield up, just kind of places it down in front of the ladder. You guys get up there as quick as possible. Once everybody's up, I'll start making my way up. But I'll do as best I can to keep them off of you while you go up. Again, all we have to do is survive.
So, who's climbing up then? Now I know, Poor, you're already beginning your climb. So, for the other two, for Calder and for Jared, what I'm going to need from both of you are athletics checks as you're climbing up. Poor, if you want to keep on climbing, going to need the same thing from you as well.
$17.
Nice.
I was worried about it, baby.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. But you made it. How about you, Jared?
18.
Very
Yay.
nice. Come on, Calder. Everyone else is rolling high. You got this, buddy.
Things are looking up now.
Nice. Beautiful. Holy crap. 17, 18, 19. And you guys don't seem to have much trouble beginning your climb up as the sound of disturbing earth begins to just rumble. It's almost as if it's a steady rumble through the ground as you begin to see skeletal and clawed, decayed hands begin to like pull themselves out of the earth, and you hear this voice in the background. Yes, my family, my friends. And you hear more people. Yes, climb up, feed, have succor, have nourishment. We will not let you starve. We will not let you die again until you reach Elysium. Please feed, love. We love you, family. And people are just pouring into this as the dead begin to like pull their decrepit corpses out of the ground and begin to climb, and some are crawling as their legs have stayed into their caskets because they've just rotted away. Others pull themselves up to their full height and begin to slowly shamble towards you. It is a massive swarm of undead. Hundreds of decaying corpses are beginning to crawl their way towards you, towards the bell tower. What are you going to do?
Oh, once everybody's up that ladder, I'm climbing up right after them. Yeah, rip my shield out the ground, put it on my back. I got a 19 on the dice to climb up that ladder as fast as possible.
Bang on. Very, very nice. So you start climbing up. You start climbing up furiously. The rest of you have already gone to the very top. It's a small area, so you guys are cramped as it is. As you, Jax, begin to climb up as well. At this stage, you begin to see that the dead just begin to crawl slowly and just pulling over their own weight. Some are even crawling over themselves, just moving as this tide, this wave of death and decay, with only one thing on their rotted brains, and that is to eat.
As I pull the clapper to my body, pulling also a book from behind my robes, the same book I had earlier in the carriage, I've seated myself atop the bell. I say to Jared, prepare to fell the ladder. Once he has made it to the top, we want to make it as difficult as possible for them to reach us. And then I begin to say a prayer over the clapper.
All right. What I need from you, Jax, is to make me one more athletics check.
Let's see.
Big money, no whammies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got a 13.
Okay. As you begin to climb, and you're just climbing as fast as you possibly can, the dead are now beginning to pool at the base of the bell tower. As you begin to, you're climbing. As soon as you do, all of a sudden you feel your one leg can't move. Looking down, you see one of the corpses grabbing your foot and beginning to try and pull you back down towards the group. What I need you to do is I need you to make an opposing strength check against this thing to try and shake yourself loose.
Ooh, man. Yeah. Yeah,
Here's your roll.
2.
So as you are trying to hold on for dear life, this creature kind of grabs. This one creature grabs you as another one kind of begins to move in close as well, and you actually slip a couple of ranks down. But as you fear that another creature is about to grab a hold of you, all of a sudden a hand reaches out for you, but just misses as you seem to like pull your leg up. So I'm going to need another strength check, another opposed strength check from you.
All right. I have a 14.
You kick off that hand because I rolled a 5, and like the thing just kind of falls back a bit, but still it's like its jaw is just hanging off by one hinge, and you can just hear this kind of gurgling as the rotten vocal cords try to make some sort of a sound. Just comes out like a and it just seems to like just kind of push that some sort of a voice, some sort of a thing out as the rest of the creatures begin to kind of coalesce in this big ring around the 4 of you. You see all as one creature kind of puts one skeletal, bloodied, brackish hand on top of one of the pieces of wood and begins to pull itself up. And I'm going to need us all to roll initiative one more time. Hopefully not for the last time. Maybe you guys will get out of this. I don't know.
You know it's bad when the GM is nodding.
Oh boy.
All right then. So first one up is going to be Jared. Jared, as you make it up and as you see Jax desperately trying to continuously climb up, you have first shot.
Yeah, and did I make it up all the way up the tower onto the top?
Correct. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah. So you, Calder, and Poor are now standing on top of the little landing.
So up here, I think Jared would take his rifle off of his back, and I'm thinking it'd probably be looking to help Jax in some way. So if he could aim for maybe one of these creatures, that is still maybe trying to grab at him as he's trying to get up.
All right, go for it. Take a shot.
Yep.
Make it happen. Make it count.
Ooh, that's a 2, so that's probably not going to happen. Nope.
Yeah, as you kind of fire off wildly, maybe even in a panic, it just seems to sail past. It actually goes through one of the figures, one of these skeletal figures, but it actually passes through the rib cage cleanly. So if this had been a living creature, it would have had some serious damage, but being undead doesn't really affect it. The swarm now begins to their steady climb up. You see quite a few of them now beginning to like leap onto the boards now. This lumber that has created this bell tower, and they begin to hop and move up on their way to you. One of them again rushes up to grab a hold of you, Jax. Nice. Apparently it was a 1. So it goes up to grab you and actually like falls forward towards the ladder, breaking a piece, like the bottom piece off of the ladder entirely. So now anything that wants to try and do is going to have to leap. So that's just not a thing now. Don't even have to worry about the ladder as you continue your way up. The next individual is going to be Poor. Poor, what are you going to do, buddy?
All right, so Purr has the clapper, and he's been saying his prayer over it. He rises up holding it, feeling the pain in his shoulder as he rises from the earlier blow, and thinking to all the flagellations that he has endured and that he continues to endure and that he will endure tonight if he survives this, because that is the penance that he pays, the price that he pays to serve his God. And he raises to serve the pantheon of gods that he serves. And he raises his hand, having turned his sacred book to the page of Pelor, and he knows the truth. These men do not serve Pelor. And he raises the clapper high, calling out to the old gods that only his order carries the secrets of and maintains. And he calls out, Pelor, Cuthbert, Heronius, noble gods of good, protect us. And he swings down with the might of the holy order that he represents. As he swings down, the mask falling from his face, revealing the wicked, horrendous burns that he has endured in the trials that he to gain his power, as he rings the bell with all the might in him.
All right. I'll tell you what, make me a strength check to hit this bad boy. I know, right?
Oh shit, I did all right. 16, baby.
Nice. You hit the bell, and you see some of the creatures as they begin to climb. You see some of the creatures begin to recoil back, and a few of them. I'll tell you what. Do me a favor and roll me a d12.
Okay. So 10 or 12. 12 is the fucking cool one. Okay. 9.
All right, and you see a bunch of these creatures just begin to like twist, snap, and then just kind of fall to one side as you crank out and hit that bell.
Reverberation shaking my body and making the pain more intense from my earlier wound, but I do not relent.
Next up is Jax. Jax, you just make it up now at the very end of this. You're now on a landing. The four of you are actually like fairly tight quarters. You look out around you and you just see these creatures like a never-ending sea of unholiness just coming towards you, and more creatures begin to like crawl and make their way up.
So, as Jax was climbing up the ladder, and the creatures were grabbing hold of him, shaking him as he was trying to climb up, his helmet was jiggled loose from his head. And even while he was holding on with one hand, he tried to like desperately grasp for it. Even though it's just a helmet, there's much bigger things to worry about right now. But as it falls and tumbles forward, he can see the picture of his family that's taped or glued, or however it's done back in the day, to the bottom of the helmet. And for just a second, he can see his family whole until it's just swallowed with the horde that just passes over it. They just go, it just disappears. And he snaps back and he finishes his climb. And he has to take a moment as he looks down and he can see the helmet still being bopped about until it's knocked over the ledge. And he quietly closes his eyes, and just with the practice of someone who has done this hundreds of times with his eyes closed, he draws his weapon, pulls it back, and he whispers their names, and he aims it, and he takes the shot, even if it's just to kill one of them. He makes a promise to himself that by the end of this night, he will get that picture back. So let's hope that that aim is true. Right. So I got a 17 on the die. So that's 20. And I'm also going to be doing, sorry. Okay. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of a fancy fair here. His goal is that in shooting one of them, he's actually distracting the horde from whatever it is they're doing, so that the next person can make a better use of the targets that he's shooting at. So he'll be using distracting shot. So I just add one of my superiority die to the damage. So altogether, that's going to be 17 damage.
Nice. So as you crack out, as it you can almost see the ball in slow motion as it just spins towards its target. Not only does it hit, but it hits with such force, such accuracy, that it splits the skull, and that skull, cracking apart, throws into two other creatures, smashing their skulls and just knocking about 3 or 4 of them to the ground. As you see, with some justification and possibly even vindication, the dead now putting themselves to rest as more creatures slowly begin to their climb up the sides. Calder, it is now you.
If you look at Calder, you can see him looking over the ledge, looking at this sea of dead men and horrors. He sees the world spin around him. He remembers the day that the Gloam took his tribe. He remembers the day that he was alone. He looks around. He sees each and every one of them. He then remembers that although he doesn't know them for a long time, this is his new tribe, and he'll do everything to protect them. So Calder is gonna enter a rage, and he's gonna try to hit anything that comes closer to any of his allies.
All right. What are you using? What are you using to put these dead to rest?
Longsword.
Okay, because right now they're climbing up, but they're not quite there yet. So you wouldn't have the 5 feet.
Yeah. So I will wait for them to get up. I'll ready an action.
Sounds good. All right. Make sure I write that down. Okay, so then we are back up to the top of the round with Jared.
As I'm sitting with, I imagine, my back against whatever short wall we have. And nothing's actually made it up here yet, has it?
No, but it's very close. They're probably
Okay.
about a good 9 or 10 feet away.
Okay. Yeah, so I think not seeing anything, he'd just be sort of leaning against something in the area and reloading that rifle. However that works.
Yeah, so that would take an entire action to it takes one full action to reload.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you got that, you're reloading that. So that's good for, I think that'd be good for you because you don't really have a move action. Unless you want to climb down, which I'm not going to tell you no.
I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay, just checking. All right, so as you look more, these creatures just begin to like swarm over like ants. And because you've readied an action, Calder, you see the first one kind of pop its head up towards you. So you will have your action now.
Okay, I'm gonna roll the die and hopefully I won't miss.
Big money, no whammies.
Okay, that's a 19.
Nice, very nice. All right, well, roll your damage.
Let's see. 9 damage.
Nice. That's just enough. As you bring your sword straight down, you kind of cleave into the side of one of these creatures' heads, and it just kind of like just a very nice slice. That part of its head kind of comes off, and as its last death throes, it kind of tries to reach up and grab for you, but then just falls right to the earth or to the ground below. The swarm, another one, begins to get closer, and it reaches out and it goes and slashes at you, Jared. Make sure I got that right. And that'll be a 21 to hit, which I believe hits.
No, that doesn't hit.
No?
I'm just kidding.
And it reaches out and slashes you for 12 damage as its bony claws kind of dig in, find purchase, and just hack in, opening up wounds.
Oh.
Next up, Poor.
So as per mumbles to himself, I'll use my bonus action to use Healing Word for the earlier blow that I took. And I'll say to the allies, the Holy Order is with us, brothers. Help me ring this bell. And then for my action, I'm going to ring the bell. And then if possible for my maneuver, I would like to hand the clapper to the next person to go. So I'm going to raise it up again. And I'm going to say, gods of old, protect us. And smash it once again. Should I do that strength check?
You got it, bud.
18, baby.
Oh, look at that. All right. Roll me a D12.
Shock a lot. Oh, I fucking rolled a 1.
It's okay. That's okay.
Okay, so then I'm ready to pass it, but if nobody's going to take it, I mean, so that's what's up.
Well, the next
I'm not just going to like let it go and drop it, obviously. So.
Yeah, I got you. So the next person is going to be Jax. If you want to try and hand it to him, you can. It's up to you.
You're muted, brother.
I'm mute, buddy.
Sorry about that. So when he rings it, is there any visible change in the zombies?
Yes, you find that one of them falls. One of the other creatures again, like kind of like recoils for a moment and then kind of goes stiff and then just falls.
Okay. So seeing this, automatically he just, he looks back, and after Per has ringed it and hands or offers the clasp out, Jax takes it, and he holds it as high as his frame can hold it. And instead of praying to the gods like Per has, he again just whispers his daughter's name and his wife's name. And with all the cherished memories and love that he has with them, he just slams it down as hard as he can.
Awesome. Make me a strength check.
I got a 17 on the dice.
Nice.
Plus
That
4.
works. That works. All right. Roll me a 1d12.
Okay. D12. I got a 5 on that.
Cool. So as you see it again, and you see another 5 or 6 creatures begin to kind of twist a bit and kind of lock into place as they kind of fall and hit the ground. But more creatures begin to climb, make the steady climb up. A lot of weight. Matter of fact, for the lot of you, you begin to hear a cracking on one side as the whole thing begins to shift with all the weight of these dead creatures on one side of it. And even you guys, same thing, on the same exact side, you begin to feel it shift. The whole thing begin to creak.
Okay.
With that,
so sorry. Seeing that we are in a very desperate strait, I'm actually going to use action surge to hit it again. If that is okay.
Yeah, it's most certainly okay. Make me another strength check and make this happen, bud. Let's do this.
Oh
no.
God damn it. All right. So I got a 8 on that.
As you hit it, you hear it peel, but it doesn't seem to affect anything. It was probably the shifting of the weight, as like the shifting of the entire tower as you try and strike it kind of throws you off balance, and you just gently wing it. You don't really see anything. No creatures kind of like recoil or fall or anything. And now we bring it over to Calder.
Calder is gonna make sure that no one dead comes closer to any of his companions. So if he sees some creature near them, he's gonna attack it.
All right. The nearest one, you begin to see something. One of the creatures that had originally attacked Jared. You do see him or it up and trying to swing wildly for any sort of flesh, living flesh around. You can go take a strike on that. Make me an attack roll. Do it. Let's do this.
That's 19 again.
Nice. Look at you go. Right on. So roll me some damage.
Okay, damage 6.
As you strike in deep to this thing, you kind of cleave it down from the shoulder blade almost all the way to the center of the ribs, and it kind of like hangs there a bit as it still seems alive, but it's definitely a messed up corpse now. and it's trying to swing wildly, but it's very hard because it doesn't have full control of its own body. And then we go back up to Jared. Jared, you see this undead creature that had attacked you is just kind of flopping and trying to swing for anything. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, so this thing, swings at me, and just blood streaming down on the front of his armor and clothing, and he kind of wheels back and takes several steps back, now closer to the bell, and he levels his rifle and is about to pull the trigger when Calder takes care of this one. And so he just shifts and swings over and fires at a different one. And that is 17 to hit.
And that hits.
And that is 14 damage.
Nice. And you see as you kind of blast through, your heavy lead ball seems to ricochet through a few of them, knocking them down to rest for the final time. And then we go to the swarm. Another one seems to kind of pop up and looking and kind of sensing out for blood. It seems to look at you, Jax, and it begins to it starts its attack. It goes to grab you and bite you. And it's not enough. It swings wildly to kind of snatch at you, and you're just too quick for it. You kind of just move out of the way. Another one goes up to grab a hold of you, Calder. And it too kind of swings wildly. At this point now, there's just more and more undead just kind of crawling up and over. Each one of you now is going to be getting attacks. Jared, you get another kind of wild swing, and per this one here actually grabs a hold of you and kind of bites down into you really quite hard. You get kind of clamped down for 12 damage as it bites hard into you through your cloak and just like kind of tears off a chunk, beginning to desperately try and like feed itself as a big piece of flesh gets pulled off. And then now, actually, we come to you.
Okay, so rallied and buoyed in spirit when my ally Jax rung the bell, and there was a bright moment. And now the pain that I feel across my whole body all the time from my penance is outweighed by the grievous injuries that I've sustained this day. I let out a wicked scream, which I won't do because some people have earphones in. And reaching up with the book on my knees now, having fallen, I call out, "Holy Order of Man, bless us." And I slam the book upon the bell, and you guys can actually feel a pressure, a wave emanate from me. It's almost as if blood and light were mixed as one, and as the emanation crashes across you, you feel the spirit of conquest and the lust for power and domination that each of us feel as men. And in that moment, I channel the power of my gods to drive back these undead.
All right, so you're casting what? Turn Undead?
Yeah, that's my once channel, one channel divinity that I get.
Nice.
So every undead within 30 feet has to make a wisdom saving throw or get the fuck out of there for like a minute.
It's like GTFO, man.
Yeah.
All right. So it's what's the DC?
That is going to be
Or at least what do I have to beat?
Cleric spell save DC. It's 13. That would be 10 plus my wisdom mod, right?
Yep.
Or is it wisdom mod plus proficiency?
I believe it's 10 plus for wisdom.
Not proficiency.
Oh, maybe it is.
Yeah, your spell
sorry,
save
8.
No,
does
I
include the
think
proficiency.
I think it's 8 plus proficiency plus
yes.
year.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
right.
it is 13 then. Good.
Yeah.
Starts at 8.
And I just rolled a 12. So
Nice.
there you go. So all of a sudden, so you see this light just kind of burst out from you, and all these creatures just seem to like recoil for a second, and you even begin to see them climbing down as they kind of move back from the tower, hissing and looking at you. The townsfolk, you can hear like they're gasping, not sure what to do. A few of them are yelling almost incoherently. You can't even really understand them. But this moment has given you guys some kind of respite. So after that we have Jax. Jax, what are you planning on doing?
Okay. So when Jax was now that the zombies are giving us a breath, when Jax was a farmer, he did a lot of smith work on the side, help people out with their horses, whatnot. Nothing like major, but he's wondering if he might be able to do a quick fix with this bell. So when he looks at it, how bad is the damage?
As far as damage goes, like you can see the clapper. It has the ring. You're just gonna have to try and hook it back into the clapper.
Okay. Is there any ladder or any loose wood or anything like that that could help him climb up there to
Not really. You're gonna have to try and like it's just above your reach, so you might, you're probably gonna need some type of a help or something.
Okay. So I look at my party and I tell them my findings. The clapper just needs to be reattached. We've been banging this bell with this clapper, but if we can get it into the bell, and if Paylor is truly with us, we might be able to just,
Sorry, folks. I just had to message the party. Just give me 1 second. Banter. I'll be right back. So sorry.
Whew. That was actually really intense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things escalated real quick.
I was like, oh man, the bell's the answer. And then it's like, us ringing this bell is not working.
It's not gonna do enough, man. Even if all of us had been doing it, I don't think it was gonna have put in enough work.
Oh man. I was like,
Oh,
it's
boy.
clearly like some kind of area of effect thing. But then like I did it and I was like, it is not
Bell.
doing enough.
I was just scared that somebody was gonna roll a 1 with that attack and drop the fucking clapper.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. If he didn't narrate immediately, I would have said that.
No, if I rolled a 1, I would definitely have dropped the clapper.
Like,
I'm not gonna lie,
dude,
but that's
forget
like
the one. Like, because I failed, I was like, because he was saying that the tower was shifting and all this stuff, and I was like, I feel like it would just make sense if I just dropped it. Drama. Look, man, that is like my fault as a player, is that I'm still kind of in like the idea of like story. So I'm like, oh man, it'd be so dramatic if I dropped it. But then he took over for the narrator, so I was like, Yeah, this is probably for the best.
Y'all, I'm almost dead. Just BT dubs.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't actually been hit yet.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm like, I don't know how I'm not dead, y'all. I should be dead. Healing work, clutch as fuck. I'll say that.
So yeah,
It's a miracle.
It was a miracle.
Please accept my sincerest apologies. Just had to run out for just 1 second, so I'm sorry about that. But let's get right back into it. So, Jax, you're going to repair the bell. What we're going to do for that, because, I mean, you know, bell making is not exactly a D&D skill, probably in 3.0, but definitely not now. What we're going to do is, you know what, I'll say, if you want to try and do it, you're going to have to make, if you want to try and do it on your own, you're going to have to make a fairly difficult athletics check to try and like jump up and hook the bell back in.
Okay. All right. So this tower that we're on, is it made of wood?
Yes, it is. I mean, there's some iron banding around to kind of like keep the thing kind of solid, but for the most part, yes, it is.
Okay.
It is entirely wood.
Okay. Sorry, I have an idea, and I'm just trying to make sure it might work. I'm not sure. So I have my shield, and if the wood is soft enough, I might be able to like stab it through and use it as leverage to lift myself up. Is there any like pillars that like if I stab it through, it can rest a point on? Like maybe pillars that are holding up the bell?
So basically how it works is it's essentially like an A-frame, like a four-posted A-frame with kind of like a large piece of like extra reinforced thick wood holding this extremely heavy bell up. There are a few kind of looser boards, or at least a few boards that are, you know, kind of like going up all the sides, like some flat boards that kind of like keep it kind of like steady and sturdy. So you can try and maybe climb up that to try and like leap up and kind of like put it in. Because again, you're looking at about 5-6 feet above your head is the bottom of the bell, not including the extra, you know, 2.5-3 feet up to where the kind of hook would be for the clapper.
Okay. 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 All right. So just like the field right now is kind of empty. So if I have time on my turn, I want to address my companions and ask them if anybody, because I'm pretty dexterous myself. But if somebody is more fit for this job, I'd like to give it to them. So just flat out, Jax is going to ask everybody, is anyone good at climbing?
Do keep in mind that climbing would either be athletics or acrobatics. So if you're able to, then you can. So I mean, it's, you know, like I'll for this sort of thing, it would probably be more athletics than acrobatics. If you can kind of like sell the acrobatics angle, maybe, but you're also carrying, you know, probably like a 30-pound solid gold clapper for a bell. So there is that.
Okay.
Calder puts his sword aside and says, "I'll do it."
All right. So while we have this time, then what I'd like to do with my action to help Calder out is I have these straps on my back that I use to carry my shield. So I'd like to give them to him, and just quickly make like a makeshift like anchor or something for it to hook the clapper to his back, so that he doesn't have to hold it physically while he's climbing up. So do I have to make any check for that?
Oh man, you're just taxing all the D&D knowledge. I'll tell you what, to try and make something like that, because again, you're only temporarily out of combat for right now. Now, if memory serves me correctly, per the turn undead spell lasts for what? 2 rounds? 3 rounds?
1 minute.
So 1 minute. Oh, okay. So so you have exactly 1 minute. Tell you what, make me a dexterity check. Let's just go with that to see if you can get the straps kind of like hooked into such a position that you can kind of, get everything made in that regard.
Luck is not with me today. And it doesn't. I'm not actually trying to make anything that's super complicated. It's just taking the straps that I have on my back, putting them on his, and taking the rope, and tying it.
Right.
But yeah, probably not gonna make this work. I have a 9 on that.
Yeah, seems to work just fine.
All right, cool.
You think?
So, yeah.
That smile.
I know, right? It's like, oh god. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's I assume that's pretty much what I'm doing with my entire turn, is just trying to make sure that this is as fit as possible to his back.
All right. So for you, Calder, seems okay. Seems like a good sturdy fit. What are you planning on doing? Are you planning on climbing, or what's the plan?
I'm planning on climbing, so I guess that's athletics.
That is correct, yes. So make me an athletics check. And as the rest of you notice, Purr's light begins to kind of fade, even though it kind of like it expands outward kind of in bursts. And as it expands outward and bursts, the dead begin they recoil, but as the bursts begin to, they just start beginning to subside a little bit. They don't come quite as often or quite as luminescent. You begin to see the dead not fearing it anymore. They begin to get closer and closer, testing the limits of this ability of his. Calder, what is your athletics check roll?
Okay, I'm gonna roll, and oh boy, that's a 6.
Okay. You begin to climb. As you begin to climb, a couple of pieces of wood begin to kind of snap and break. You're just able to hold on, but the clapper, you can feel the clapper beginning to slip downwards. And judging from where you are, if it slips downward, it slips down towards the group of undead. So you need to make one more athletics check to see if you can climb up.
Yes, 19.
Awesome. You just get there. You're holding it. Matter of fact, as you get up, the clapper slips from your back, but as a just as your like lightning quick reflexes, you go down, grabbing the clapper in your hand, and it's safe. You begin to kind of like shimmy it up one hand as you're holding on for dear life. What are you going to do?
Calder is gonna again close his eyes, breathe heavily, look up, and if you can hear him singing some guttural song. Maybe that's something he learned as a child on his tribe. And you can see him climbing again.
Okay, so you climb further. You are now at the bell itself. Are you going to, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to strike the bell with the clapper, or do you want to try and hook the clapper back up?
I'm going to try to hook it.
Sounds good. All right. Now it is at this point that the turn undead spell just drops. The light finally receding, this godly light just fading from you, Per. And the dead know. They notice. And at once you hear hundreds of hissing noises, hundreds of rotted larynxes trying to emanate the need for flesh, the desire for you. And you hear them again. And they begin to climb up again, raging up. Calder, it is all on you. I need you to make me a dexterity check to try and hook the clapper back up into the bell.
Let's go. It is 16 enough?
You're muted, brother.
Damn it. Is that 16 with any bonuses included?
Yes.
Okay. You begin to hook, and you notice that it's really, really difficult to try and hook the clapper in, because there's just like one kind of iron, seems to be one iron hook in there, and the ring around the clapper, it just seems to just be difficult for you. And as you're trying to hook in, Jared, we're going to come right back to you. Back into initiative order. You see the dead now beginning to climb with more fervor, more anger. It seems to hate you, and it seems to want to take all of you out. What are you going to do?
Jared's standing up now. Looks over to Per. I don't suppose you can do that again.
I'm spent, brother.
He looks over to his wound from earlier and sort of looks at it. Is it look like a regular wound? Is there anything different about it?
Sorry, say again, please.
He looks down at the wound from earlier from this creature and just takes a quick look. Does it look like a normal wound or anything special?
Make me an investigation check.
Alrighty. That is a 12.
Seems to be fine. Doesn't seem to be anything different about any other wound. It's bleeding. Hurts like a bastard, but seems to be a wound.
Okay. He's nursing that wound. He looks at one of these creatures, maybe just fingers as they're clambering up. He drops his rifle and wields the short swords. And I'm going to use a second wind to regain some hit points here. And kind of he looks up to Calder. Yeah, Calder that's up there and the others, and he says somebody needs to go help him. And he kind of looks at his wound, says, I don't know if I can make it up there. And he just pulls those short swords and takes a few steps forward. And I'd like to, if it happens in this round, ready an attack action when one of these things gets up here.
Sounds good. You got it. So the next up, the swarm begins its climb up again. Even more of them this time. I think you really kind of pissed them off. They begin to climb up. Jared, you do have your action as one of them pokes its head and kind of stares you in the face. Its flesh just mottled and rotten right off, just sagging like some ill-fitting mask, and it kind of hisses at you with broken, jagged teeth. It's your shot. Go for it.
Yeah, so as he sees them clambering up, he is determined and marches straight over to the edge and swings with a 22.
That it will hit. Go for it.
And that's 7 damage.
And you pop this thing straight in the eye. It twists for a second, and letting go to curl its hands back like an insect. It just falls over, back down 20 feet to hit the ground, and you see it split apart. It's the internal organs now black and oozing, just kind of splat against the ground. The swarm now begins to crawl up and over more. The first one goes to take a swipe at you, Jax. That'll be a 14, which is just not enough. The next one grabs a hold to try and grab at you, Jared. Oh shit! Sorry. That is a nat 20. Now I feel really shitty. And it not only swipes you, but it kind of pulls you towards it, and it clamps down and bites your throat out for 26 damage.
Wow.
You still alive? You still good?
I'm not down.
All right.
Not yet, but yeah. I'm not sure what that looks like yet. He's still okay, but what does my neck look like? Like, I'm not in imminent danger yet.
You have a large chunk bitten out by some miracle, probably by the fact that this undead creature is missing some teeth. Your carotid artery is still there.
Nice.
And then the third one goes to bite at you, and that'll be a 14, which is not quite enough. It leaps up and kind of bites onto your neck, but you realize now that it's just biting into armor. You hear like the crunching of metal as the rings kind of like tighten up. I assume you have chainmail. Scale mail. All right. You hear as the tiny metal plates kind of bunch together as the broken enamel and teeth just begin to shatter as it bites onto you. But does nothing. We are now down to actually right at you as well. So what are you planning on doing? You muted?
I'm sorry, dudes. I was giving a whole speech there. Yeah.
Oh man, and I bet you it was beautiful. I'll bet you it was probably beautiful. Matter of fact, it would have been probably the most beautiful speech had you not been muted.
Let's try that again. So I'm gonna cut some of that bullshit out though. I call out to Jared as I slide up beside. Oh, excuse me. I call out to Jax as I slide up beside Jared, careful of my wounded leg. I say, "It is up to you, Jax. We cannot climb. We will hold the position here." And I move up beside my homie, trying to block the creatures from getting past him. And I'm gonna use my warhammer, and I'm gonna swing it down. And I got 18 to hit. Yeah, 18 hits. All right. 3 damage for that.
Yep.
And then I'm going to use my war domain cleric power to attack again as a bonus action.
Perfect.
And I'm going to hit again with the same warhammer. And I got a 15 to hit on that one.
So say again?
15 to hit.
Oh, yeah, that hits. Yeah, okay. You're good.
Okay, so that does two damage.
Nice. And yeah, you see the things like jaw just go flying off. Just whatever rotted flesh was keeping it together just shears as kind of black rotted blood kind of flecks over your face as you see this thing's jaw just fly off. The momentum carrying the whole creature's body as it struggles to hold on to the wooden railings. You hear the screeching like nails on a chalkboard of the skeletal hands as it just, and you just see it fly off and fall 20 feet and hit the ground, most of it shattering on impact.
And as I swing through on my axe, I turn to Jared, and this is the first time you've ever seen my face. You didn't know I was so burnt, like literally my entire face is scarred with burns. And I look at you dead on your eye, not even realizing how hideous I must look to you, and I say, "Today is a good day to die, brother."
He looks to you with his partial neck and isn't really affected by what your face looks like. He says, "Well, kind of knew coming out here this might happen, but well, I've killed more people than there are them down there, so I guess it's just my time."
And you see a single tear fall out of my scarred face. And you know I feel the same.
All right, and as you're overhearing this, Jax, you begin to just snap to, and now you look over, and what are you doing? As you begin to hear, you see the dead climbing up over themselves to try and reach out at you. You hear the sounds of planks beginning to splinter and crack as all this weight of death is beginning to bear down on one side of this watchtower. What are you doing? No pressure, by the way.
Oh, man. Can I just say it sucks because, like, you two are, like, almost dying, and my character has yet to be hit. So it's like, oh, shit. Oh, man. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. So, Jax, being a soldier, has been in many situations, even though most humans wouldn't admit that dwarves and elves can put up that much of a fight against the black powder. They do. And many of his friends have gone down. People who weren't or shouldn't have been wearing armor to begin with have just given their lives in the most heroic ways he's ever seen. And standing with you guys, he feels that brotherhood build back up of soldiers standing on the front lines, all of them marked for death, none of them expecting to come back. And he takes that and clings to it as much as he can. And he stops seeing all of you as living people with hopes and dreams and families, and just starts seeing you as brothers, in the sense that all of us are here to die. We are probably going to die. And once he sets himself into that motion, he looks up and just starts to just quickly put everything into perspective. And he knows if he tries to stay here and be a hero, everyone is going to die. And all of us are going to die together. But if he climbs up there, and if he can do it as fast as possible, everyone might live. And if only he lives, or if only Calder lives, someone is going to be able to bury us. And so he starts towards the beams and starts to make his climb up. The whole way just whispering the names of his wife and his daughter.
All right, make me an athletics check.
All right. It's looking good. I'm hoping. All right. I got a 22.
Oh, yeah, no problem. You just climb up, and this determination, this desire to not end up just as food for the already dead, just gives you the motivation to just climb up. And in no time, you almost reach Calder, which, Calder, it is now your turn. Can you do this?
Let's roll the dice and.
All right, let's make this happen. Roll me a dex check, and let's end this. End it.
I got an 18. Is that enough?
You reach once, twice. You can hear the reverberations. You can even feel the vibrations of the dead crawling up like so many cockroaches, just light enough so you can feel it. They're crawling up. They're moving. You're just reaching once, twice. Finally, it hooks. Just as that moment that you feel the tension as you try and pull the clapper down, it doesn't move. It is hooked. And as you let your hand go, almost as if an unseen hand is moving it, the clapper begins to sway left, right, left, right, left, and then right. Bang! This echo peals across the night. This echoing sound bursts these undead's ears. Their heads begin to crack and split as they recoil back. Even the townsfolk begin to recoil from the bell. Their flesh begins to peel back. These creatures who were once individuals begin to drop, and they all begin to fall under the sound of the bell. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our one-shot. As you crank the bell, you begin to find peace in this place, this town of the dead. Everything around you seems to be quite peaceful. And I want to thank all of you for playing, all 4 of you. You guys have been champions. You guys are awesome. And what I would like to do right now is I would like to have, and starting on my furthest left, Archie, if you'd like to give yourself an outro and plug anything you'd like, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, so as Per's eardrums pop and blood trickles down them and he goes deaf, he feels the true pain. He has finally paid penance for the gift that he has been blessed with. And I'll leave y'all with that. It's your boy Archie Duelist. Check me out on Archie Duelist YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody in this game. It was freaking amazing. The role players, man, I want to play with you guys again, all of y'all. And hey, Michael, man, I have to get you in a game, man. I got to pay you back for this game. It was top tier. This was amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll move it on along.
Hey, my name's Ben. Had fantastic time in this game. Thank you, Mike. It's been great. Lots of cool things I've seen here about Gloam. Loved it all. And yeah, that's it.
Oh man, this was amazing. So just so anybody watching knows, none of us had any idea what we were going to be doing. We were all completely clueless as to like the story that was going to happen, and it was amazing, man. This was a lot of fun. Like, thanks to all the players that are playing, man. This has just been amazing. So, like I said earlier, I do have a YouTube channel called Out of Character. If you want to check that out, see some videos that I put up. And if for whatever reason you're watching this and you're not a part of the AbTab Absolute Tabletop group, totally join that. You can play with cool players like us, get an awesome GM like Mike, and just have a good time. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks, Mike. It's been dope.
I was muted. Okay. So I would like to thank Mike for running the game. It was amazing. In the final roll, I swear I was biting my bottom lip so hard. I got really, really nervous. But I think to finish it off, as the bell swings back and forth, you can hear Calder screaming at the top of his lungs, "Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!" And let's end it at that. But the last thing I want to say is that thank you for everyone. You're amazing players. Mike is an amazing DM. And if you're not already in the tabletop RPG group, you should join it, because it's an amazing place. You can meet new friends, new people, and play RPGs there. That's how I started. And there we are. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much to all of you. And I am so happy and so fortunate to be able to play a game with each and every one of you, because this is the very first time that I have been fortunate enough, and I've had the honor of having you guys as players. I cannot wait to play a game with you guys again, and I would highly suggest for the rest of you that are watching, please check out Absolute Tabletop at Facebook. Whatever, man. I'm really, really shitty when it comes to computers and stuff. I can check my email. I can do these things. But other than that, no. But go to Facebook. Go to Facebook.com. Check out Absolute Tabletop. You'll be happy that you did. It's a wonderful community. Lots of great folk. Highly suggest it. And I gotta say, it's been fun running this. Gloam is a fun setting. It is a crazy, twisted, dark, evil setting, and I want to run more of this. So let's hopefully convince the always handsome, always talented Matt Click to come up with something a whole lot more for this, because I think it's really, really cool. And I think a lot of you guys at home would love running this kind of setting. So from me and from my incredible players, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, get inspired.